I spent years accumulating frequent flyer miles, dreaming of adventures with my daughter, Lisa. I had always envisioned us exploring the world together, creating beautiful memories side by side. But when I received the call that she was getting married, my heart sank. Not only was I left out of the wedding, but she casually mentioned using my hard-earned miles for her honeymoon without me. It felt like a betrayal that cut deep, leaving me grappling with feelings of exclusion and heartbreak. This is the story of how I navigated my way through the pain of being cast aside and how I fought to reclaim my place in her life. Before I begin, let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. I want to know I'm not alone in this. And if you feel moved by what you hear, consider subscribing. It gives me the strength to share my truth. Now, let's get into my story. I am in my late 60s. I have spent most of my life saving money for travel. I love to explore new places. I have collected frequent flyer miles for years. I dreamed of using them for great adventures. But now, I mostly sit at home, thinking about my travels. One afternoon, I received a call from my daughter, Lisa. She sounded excited. She told me she was getting married. I felt a mix of happiness and surprise. I wanted to share in her joy. But then she mentioned her honeymoon. She said she wanted to go to a tropical island. She casually added that she would use my frequent flyer miles for the trip. I felt a sharp pain in my chest. I had saved those miles for special moments. I had hoped to travel with Lisa again. I thought we would explore the world together. But now, it seemed she did not want me there. I realized I was not invited to the wedding. My heart sank. I tried to stay calm as we talked. I asked her about the wedding plans. I wanted to know where it would be and who would be there. Lisa said it would be a small ceremony. She didn't want a big fuss. I felt left out. I remembered the times we traveled together. We had fun and laughter. We shared beautiful memories. Now, it felt like those moments were fading. Then, Lisa dropped another bombshell. She said she did not want to burden me with the planning. She implied that I was too old to help. That hurt more than anything. I wanted to be part of her life, not pushed aside. I felt like I was losing my place in her world. After the call, I sat in my living room. I stared at the wall. I thought about how much I had done for Lisa. I had always been there for her. I had taught her about the world and how to enjoy it. And now, it felt like I was just an afterthought. Days passed, but I could not shake the feeling. I waited for an invitation to arrive. I hoped it would say I was welcome. I wanted to be there for her special day. But when the invitation finally came, I felt my heart drop again. It was addressed to +1. My name was nowhere to be found. I felt tears welling up in my eyes. I opened the invitation and read the details. It was for a small wedding, just like Lisa said, but it felt cold, like a reminder that I was not included. I put the invitation down and tried to breathe. I remembered laughter, love, and all the moments we shared. They felt so far away now. I decided I needed to talk to Lisa. I could not let this go without saying something. I wanted her to know how I felt. I wanted her to understand that I cared, but I was also scared. What if she dismissed my feelings? What if this pushed us further apart? I called Lisa and asked if I could visit. I wanted to have a heart-to-heart talk. She agreed, but I could hear the tension in her voice. I arrived at her house, my heart racing. I knocked on the door, and she opened it with a smile that felt forced. We sat down at her kitchen table. I started to talk about the wedding. I told her how I felt about the invitation. I explained that I was hurt. I wanted to be there for her. But Lisa quickly defended her choice. She said she wanted a small wedding. She did not want the stress of a big event. I felt anger rising in me. I asked her why she thought I would be a burden. She seemed taken aback by my words. Then, the conversation turned deeper. Lisa opened up about her feelings. She talked about how she felt suffocated by my expectations. She said she was worried about me. She thought I could not handle the pressure of planning a wedding. I felt a wave of confusion wash over me. I had always been strong and capable. We continued to argue, and it felt like a wall was building between us. I felt hurt and betrayed. I never wanted to pressure her. I just wanted to be part of her life. I thought we could share this moment. Instead, I was left feeling like an outsider. As I left her house, I felt more alone than ever. I had lost the connection I cherished so much. I sat in my car and cried. I thought about my years of saving and dreaming. I had always hoped to share my love of travel and adventure with Lisa. Now, I felt like I had lost the chance. I drove home slowly, replaying our conversation in my mind. I felt a mix of sadness and anger. I loved my daughter, but I felt she was pushing me away. I wondered how we had come to this point. I wanted to fix things, but I did not know how. That night, I sat in silence, thinking about my life. I had given so much love to my family. I had always been there for Lisa, but now it felt like she did not want me around. I longed for the days when we traveled together, creating memories. I wanted to feel close to her again, but it seemed that was slipping away. I needed to find a way to express my feelings. I needed to reach out, but the thought of facing her again made my heart heavy. I knew I had to try, but I did not know how. All I wanted was to be part of her life again. After my visit with Lisa, I felt a mix of confusion and sadness. I spent several days thinking about what had happened. Each day, I replayed our conversation in my mind. I remembered the hurt in her eyes and the walls that seemed to grow between us. I could not shake the feeling of betrayal. A few days later, the wedding invitation arrived, and it hit me hard. It was addressed to +1. I felt my heart sink again. I had hoped for something different. I wanted my name on that card. I wanted to feel included, but I felt like a stranger in my own family. As I sat at my kitchen table, I opened the envelope. The invitation was simple, with elegant lettering, but it felt cold and impersonal. It reminded me that my daughter was starting a new chapter without me. I closed my eyes, wishing for a moment that things could be different. I thought about our past. I remembered the laughter we shared during our trips together. I remembered how we explored cities and laughed at silly things. But now, those memories felt distant. They were shadows of what we once had. I picked up my phone and stared at it. I wanted to call Lisa, but I hesitated. What would I say? I could feel the weight of my emotions. I wanted to confront her, but I also feared pushing her further away. The thought of losing her completely scared me. After a long pause, I took a deep breath and dialed her number. When she answered, I felt my heart race. I asked if we could meet again. I needed to talk about the invitation and how I felt. There was silence on the other end. Finally, she agreed. When I arrived at her house, I felt nervous. I knocked on the door, and Lisa opened it, looking surprised. I could see a mix of emotions on her face, just like mine. We walked to the living room and sat down. I took a moment to gather my thoughts. I wanted to be honest without hurting her more. I told her how the invitation made me feel. I said I felt excluded and hurt. I reminded her of the bond we used to share. I wanted to show her that my feelings mattered. Lisa listened, but I could see her walls were still up. She told me again that she wanted a small wedding. She said she thought I would feel overwhelmed with all the planning. I tried to explain that I was not overwhelmed. I just wanted to be included in her life. She seemed to soften a bit, but then she changed the subject. She said she was worried about how I would handle being alone. I felt frustration rising again. I told her that I was capable of taking care of myself. I didn't want her to see me as weak or burdensome. We went back and forth, both of us feeling hurt and defensive. I wanted her to understand my love for her. I wanted her to know that I wanted to support her, not pressure her. But she seemed stuck in her own worries. Then, Lisa let something slip. She said she felt embarrassed about my financial situation. I was shocked. I had never thought she saw me that way. I had always worked hard for what I had, and I had raised her to be proud of our family. I told her that my life was not just about money. I wanted her to see my worth beyond that. The room fell silent. I looked into her eyes and saw confusion. I realized we were both scared. We were scared of losing each other. I told her I loved her and wanted to be part of her life, no matter what. But as I spoke, I could see the weight of expectations on her shoulders. I understood that she was trying to create her own path. I just wanted to walk beside her, not behind her. As we sat in silence, I felt tears welling in my eyes. I reached out and touched her hand. I wanted to connect again. I wanted her to know that she could always count on me. But I also knew I had to let her make her own choices. After a long pause, I proposed that we should take a trip together. I suggested we use my frequent flyer miles to go somewhere fun, just like we used to. I thought it might help us reconnect. Lisa looked surprised. She hesitated for a moment. I could see her thinking. She finally said she appreciated the offer, but was unsure about it. I felt a knot in my stomach. I feared she might never want to travel with me again. I stood up and turned to leave. I felt a deep sadness in my heart. I had tried to reach out, but it felt like we were still worlds apart. When I got to my car, I sat there for a long time, staring at the road. I wanted to cry, but held back the tears. Driving home, I felt a sense of loss. I longed for the days when we were close. I wanted to find a way to mend our relationship, but I didn't know how. All I could do was hope that one day we would find our way back to each other. The days turned into weeks, and the wedding date approached. I felt a heavy weight in my chest. I wanted to be there for her. I wanted to show her that I loved her, but I also needed to find my own peace. I knew I had to figure out my next steps. I could not let the pain of this situation define my life. I had to find a way to reclaim my happiness, no matter what that looked like. After my last visit with Lisa, I felt a mix of sadness and frustration. I wanted to reach out, but I also felt scared. The wedding was getting closer, and the distance between us felt wider. I knew I needed to talk to her again. I wanted to express my feelings clearly. I hoped we could find a way to reconnect. One afternoon, I decided to call Lisa again. I asked if we could meet. I wanted to talk about everything, especially the wedding and the use of my frequent flyer miles. I needed her to understand how I felt. To my surprise, she agreed without hesitation. When I arrived at her house, I took a deep breath. I felt nervous, but I knew I had to be honest. Lisa greeted me with a smile, but I could see the tension in her eyes. We sat down at the kitchen table, and I felt the weight of what I wanted to say. I started by telling Lisa that I loved her and that I wanted to be part of her life. I explained that the invitation hurt me deeply. I wanted her to know that it was not just about the wedding. It was about feeling excluded from her life. I wanted to share in her joy, just like I had for so many years. Lisa listened, but I could see she was defensive. She started explaining her reasons again. She told me how stressed she felt about the wedding. She said she wanted it to be a special moment, free from pressures. I could see her frustration, but I also felt my own frustration rising. I told her I understood wanting a small wedding, but it hurt to feel like I was not included in those plans. I wanted to be there for her, not just as a mother, but as a friend. I reminded her of our past adventures and how much they meant to me. I wanted her to remember the bond we had. But then the conversation took a turn. Lisa revealed that she felt embarrassed about my financial situation. She said she worried about how it would look to her friends and family. I was shocked. I had never thought she saw me that way. I felt anger rising in me. I had always worked hard and provided for her. I told her that my worth was not tied to money. I explained that I wanted her to see me as her mother, not just as someone with a bank account. I wanted her to understand that love and connection were more important than appearances. Lisa seemed taken aback. She looked at me with confusion. I could see the struggle in her eyes. She started to talk about how she felt pressure to create a perfect life. She said she felt suffocated by expectations, both from me and the world around her. I realized that she was scared. She was scared of not living up to a certain standard. It broke my heart to see her in this place. I reminded her that she did not have to do it alone. I wanted to support her, not add to her stress. As our conversation continued, I felt the tension ease a bit. Lisa opened up more. She shared her worries about being a good wife and living up to everyone's expectations. I listened carefully, wanting her to know that I understood. I told her it was okay to feel lost and unsure. We all go through changes in life, but as we spoke, I could feel the distance still there. I knew we were both feeling hurt, but I also sensed that we were not fully connected. I needed to say something more, something that could bridge the gap between us. I took a deep breath and suggested we take a trip together. I wanted to use my frequent flyer miles to go somewhere we both loved. I thought it could help us reconnect. I wanted to create new memories together, just like we had in the past. Lisa looked surprised. She hesitated and then said she appreciated the offer, but was unsure about it. I felt my heart drop. I wanted to show her that I cared, but it felt like she was still holding back. I stood up, feeling frustrated. I wanted to scream, but I knew that wouldn't help. Instead, I told her I needed time to think. I walked to my car, feeling heavy with emotions. I sat in the driver's seat and let the tears fall. I didn't want to lose my daughter, but it felt like we were drifting further apart. As I drove home, I thought about our conversation. It was clear that Lisa had her own battles to face. I realized that I couldn't force her to invite me into her life. I needed to give her space while still being there for her. That night, I sat in my living room feeling lost. I looked at old photos of our trips together. I remembered the laughter, the joy, and the connection we once had. I wanted to find a way to bring that back. I thought about my own journey. I had spent years saving for travel, dreaming of adventures. I realized that I could still take those trips, even if Lisa didn't want to join me right now. I could reclaim my love for travel and find joy in my own way. But I also knew I had to keep the door open for Lisa. I needed to let her know that I was here whenever she was ready. I decided that I would reach out again when the time felt right. I wanted her to know that she could count on me, no matter what. As I lay in bed that night, I felt a mix of hope and sadness. I knew our relationship would take time to mend, but I was determined to keep trying. I would not let this distance define us. I would hold on to the love I had for my daughter and find a way to move forward. I wanted to be there for her, even if it meant taking a step back for now. After my last visit with Lisa, I felt heavy. I had tried to reach out, but it felt like we were still stuck in a cycle of hurt. I needed to clear my mind, so I decided to take a break from everything. I thought about my past trips. I remembered the joy they brought me. I had always loved to travel, and I realized I needed to reclaim that part of myself. I looked through my frequent flyer miles. I had enough for a trip to a beautiful place I had always wanted to visit. It was a destination I had dreamed about for years, a place filled with sun, sand, and adventure. I thought about how Lisa and I had talked about going there together, but now it felt like a good time for me to go alone. I booked the flight and felt a spark of excitement. It was time for me to step out of my comfort zone. I packed my bags, choosing outfits that made me feel confident. I wanted to embrace this journey for myself. I was ready to explore and find joy again. The day of my departure finally arrived. As I sat at the airport, I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. I watched people around me, families and couples, and felt a twinge of longing. I missed sharing these moments with Lisa, but I also understood that I needed to find my own path right now. When my flight was called, I boarded the plane with anticipation. I settled into my seat, ready to start this adventure. As the plane took off, I looked out the window and saw the ground disappearing beneath me. I felt a sense of freedom wash over me. For the first time in weeks, I felt hopeful. When I arrived at my destination, the warm sun greeted me like an old friend. I could smell the ocean air, and I felt my heart lift. I found my hotel and dropped off my bags. I wasted no time and headed straight to the beach. The sound of the waves was soothing, and I felt my worries begin to fade. I spent my days exploring. I visited local markets, tried new foods, and met friendly people. Each moment felt like a small victory. I took long walks along the shore and watched the sunset paint the sky with colors I'd never seen before. I felt alive again. One afternoon, while walking along the beach, I stumbled upon a small art gallery. The vibrant paintings caught my eye, and I decided to go inside. I wandered through the exhibit, admiring the creativity. As I looked at each piece, I felt a spark of inspiration. I had always loved photography, but I had put it aside for so long. In that moment, I decided to explore my passion again. I asked the gallery owner if I could take some photos of the artwork. She smiled and welcomed me to capture the essence of the place. I felt a rush of joy as I started to take pictures. The camera felt like an extension of myself, and I lost track of time. The following days were filled with exploration and creativity. I took my camera everywhere, capturing the beauty around me. I found myself smiling more and feeling a sense of purpose. Each click of the shutter felt like a step toward healing. I was reclaiming my love for travel and art. As I walked around the vibrant streets, I met other travelers. I shared stories with them and learned about their adventures. I felt a sense of connection with strangers who understood my desire for exploration. They reminded me that travel is not just about the places we go, but the people we meet along the way. One evening, while watching the sunset, I struck up a conversation with an older woman named Clara. She had traveled to many places and shared her own stories of estrangement with her daughter. We bonded over our experiences and found comfort in each other's company. I felt grateful for her friendship and the perspective she offered. Clara encouraged me to express myself through my photography. She said it could be a form of healing. I began to realize that capturing moments on camera was not just about the pictures. It was about telling a story. I wanted my story to reflect my journey and my growth. As days turned into a week, I decided to organize a small exhibition of my photographs when I returned home. I wanted to showcase my journey and the lessons I had learned during this trip. It felt empowering to think about sharing my experiences with others. I returned to my hotel room one night and reviewed the photos I had taken. Each image held a memory, a feeling of joy. I felt proud of what I had accomplished. I had faced my fears and embraced my passion. I realized that I was stronger than I had thought. As I prepared to return home, I felt a mix of emotions. I was ready to share my journey with Lisa, but I also knew I needed to be patient. I had taken steps toward healing, and I hoped that our relationship could mend in time. On my flight back, I reflected on the trip. I had discovered more than just beautiful sights. I had rediscovered myself. I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I knew I would continue to pursue my passion for photography and travel. When I landed, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I was ready to face whatever came next. I wanted to reach out to Lisa again and share my experiences. I hoped that one day we could travel together again. I would hold on to that dream while embracing my own journey. I was ready for new adventures, both in travel and in life. Returning home from my trip, I felt a sense of renewal. My time away had brought me clarity. I had explored new places, met wonderful people, and rediscovered my love for photography. I wanted to carry this new energy into my life. I felt ready to face my relationship with Lisa again. After a few days of settling back into my routine, I organized my photographs from the trip. I carefully selected my favorites, each one telling a story. I felt proud of my work. I decided to create a small exhibition to share my journey and the joy I had found. As I set up the exhibition in my living room, I invited a few friends and acquaintances. I wanted to create a welcoming space where I could showcase my photos. I hoped it would also be a way to connect with others. I wanted to share my passion and the lessons I had learned. On the day of the exhibition, I felt nervous but excited. I arranged the photos on the walls and added little notes about each one. I wanted to explain what they meant to me. As the guests arrived, I greeted them with a smile. I felt a sense of community as people gathered to admire my work. As the evening went on, I received positive feedback. Friends offered kind words about my photography. They saw the joy and beauty in my images. I felt a warm glow of pride. I realized how important it was to share my experiences. And then, out of nowhere, Lisa walked through the door. My heart skipped a beat. I was surprised to see her. I had not expected her to come. She had seen a post about the exhibition on social media and decided to stop by. I felt a mix of joy and nerves. When she approached me, I could see a mix of emotions in her eyes. I welcomed her, trying to keep my voice steady. We exchanged small talk, but I could sense the tension. I wanted to open up about my journey, but I also felt vulnerable. As the evening continued, Lisa looked at my photographs. I watched her as she took in each one. I hoped she could feel the love and passion I had poured into them. I wanted her to see a part of me that she had missed. After a while, Lisa turned to me. She said she was impressed by my work. She seemed genuinely moved by what she saw. I felt a wave of relief. Maybe this was a chance to reconnect. I took a deep breath and decided to speak from my heart. I shared my experience from the trip. I talked about the friendships I had formed and how I had rediscovered my passion for photography. I explained how important it was for me to share my journey with her. I wanted her to understand that I had found joy again, even while facing challenges. As I spoke, I could see Lisa's expression change. She looked thoughtful, even a bit emotional. I could tell she was listening. I felt hopeful that we were beginning to bridge the gap between us. After I finished sharing, Lisa opened up about her own feelings. She admitted that she had been struggling with the pressure of her new marriage. She felt lost at times, and she missed the support of her mother. I listened carefully, wanting her to know that I understood. We talked about our fears and expectations. I told her that I had never wanted her to feel burdened by me. I just wanted to be there for her. She expressed her worries about not living up to everyone's expectations, including her own. In that moment, I saw a glimpse of the connection we had both been missing. We were both trying to navigate our lives, but we were doing it separately. I reached out and held her hand, wanting her to feel the love I had for her. After a long pause, Lisa suggested that we take a trip together. My heart raced at her words. I couldn't believe it. I remembered the idea I had proposed before my trip. I told her that I would love to go on an adventure together, using my frequent flyer miles. The conversation flowed naturally as we talked about where we could go. We shared ideas about destinations that held special memories for us. I felt a sense of excitement growing between us. It was like a spark had been reignited. As the evening came to a close, Lisa hugged me tightly. She told me she was grateful for my support and for the chance to reconnect. I felt tears of joy in my eyes. I had missed her so much, and this moment felt like a step toward healing. After everyone left, I sat down and reflected on the evening. I felt a sense of hope that had been missing for too long. I was beginning to see that our relationship could heal. I realized that both of us needed time and understanding. The next day, I started planning our trip. I felt a rush of excitement as I researched destinations. I wanted it to be a memorable experience for both of us. I hoped it would help us rebuild our bond and create new memories together. In the following weeks, as we prepared for our trip, I noticed a change in our relationship. We communicated more openly. We shared our thoughts and feelings without fear. I felt the walls between us slowly coming down. I knew that our journey together would be more than just a trip. It would be a chance for both of us to grow and learn from each other. I was determined to make the most of it. As the departure date approached, I felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. I wanted this trip to be a fresh start for us. I believed that with love and patience, we could create a new chapter in our relationship. I was ready to embrace the adventure ahead. As the day of our trip finally arrived, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Lisa and I packed our bags, each of us buzzing with energy. I could feel the tension between us lifting. It felt like we were both ready to embrace this new beginning together. We boarded the plane, and I noticed Lisa's smile as we settled into our seats. I felt a sense of relief wash over me. This trip was more than just a getaway. It was a chance for us to reconnect and heal. I hoped it would be a step toward rebuilding our relationship. As the plane took off, I looked out the window. I watched the ground disappear beneath us, and I felt a sense of freedom. I turned to Lisa, who was gazing out at the clouds. We exchanged excited glances. I knew this was the start of something special. When we arrived at our destination, the warm sun greeted us. The vibrant colors of the landscape were stunning. We went to our hotel and quickly dropped off our bags. I could feel the excitement bubbling inside me. We decided to explore the area right away. We wandered through local markets, trying new foods and enjoying the lively atmosphere. I watched Lisa's face light up as she tasted local dishes. I felt a sense of joy seeing her happy. I wanted this trip to be filled with laughter and shared moments. As we walked, we talked about our dreams and hopes. We shared stories from our past travels and the memories that made us smile. It felt good to reminisce. It reminded us of the bond we once had. I could see Lisa relaxing and opening up more. One day, we decided to take a guided tour of a nearby nature reserve. I was excited to connect with the beauty of the surroundings. As we hiked through the trails, I felt the fresh air fill my lungs. It was invigorating. During the hike, we encountered a group of older travelers. They were friendly and eager to share their stories. One woman, named Clara, caught my attention. She reminded me of the woman I had met during my last trip. She had a warm smile and a twinkle in her eye. Clara shared her story of estrangement with her daughter. She explained how they had worked through their differences and learned to appreciate each other again. I listened closely, feeling a connection. I wanted to tell Lisa about Clara, hoping she would see the value in the wisdom shared by someone who had walked a similar path. After the hike, I introduced Lisa to Clara. They started talking, and I watched as Clara shared her experiences. It was heartwarming to see Lisa engage in this conversation. I hoped it would help her gain a new perspective on our own relationship. Clara encouraged us to express ourselves openly and to let go of any fears. She shared how important it was to communicate and connect with those we love. I could see Lisa nodding as she listened. I felt hopeful that Clara's words would resonate with her. That evening, we gathered around a fire pit at our hotel. As we sat there, I felt a sense of peace. The stars were bright above us, and the warmth of the fire enveloped us. I turned to Lisa and asked her what she thought about our trip so far. She smiled and said it was more than she had expected. I felt a rush of happiness. I wanted her to know how much this time together meant to me. I asked her if she felt closer to me now. She paused for a moment and then nodded. I could see the sincerity in her eyes. I took a deep breath and shared my feelings. I told her that I wanted to support her and be there for her, no matter what. I wanted her to know that she could always count on me. I hoped she felt the same. As we talked, I could feel the walls that had once separated us beginning to crumble. We spoke about our fears and expectations. Lisa shared her struggles with feeling lost after her marriage. I listened carefully, wanting her to know that it was okay to feel uncertain. In that moment, I realized how important it was for us to be honest with each other. I wanted to encourage her to express her feelings openly, just as I was doing. I wanted her to know that we were both on this journey together. As the night went on, we laughed and shared stories, just like we used to. I could feel our connection deepening. I knew we were making progress. I wanted to hold on to this feeling and carry it with us as we continued our trip. The next day, we decided to explore a local art gallery. I was excited to see the work of local artists. As we walked through the gallery, I felt inspired by the creativity around us. Lisa seemed to enjoy it too, and I could see her curiosity growing. I encouraged her to take photos of the artwork. I wanted her to capture her perspective. As she took pictures, I felt a sense of pride. I hoped that exploring her creativity would help her find joy and confidence. Later that day, we found a quiet spot by the beach. We sat in silence, watching the waves crash against the shore. I turned to Lisa and told her how much I appreciated her openness. I wanted her to know that I was grateful for this time together. As we sat there, I realized how far we had come. We were both learning to communicate better and to understand each other's feelings. I felt a sense of hope that our relationship could continue to grow. Our trip was more than just an adventure. It was a journey of healing. I knew that we still had work to do, but I believed we were on the right path. I felt excited about the future and the possibilities that lay ahead. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with beautiful colors, I turned to Lisa and smiled. I knew this was just the beginning. Together, we were learning to navigate the complexities of our relationship, and it felt good. I was ready for whatever came next, knowing that we would face it together. Our trip was unfolding beautifully. Each day brought new experiences, and I felt grateful for the time Lisa and I were spending together. I could see her beginning to open up, and I hoped this trend would continue. I wanted to connect with her on a deeper level and rebuild what we had lost over time. One evening, we decided to hold a small gathering at our hotel. I invited Clara, the woman we had met earlier on our hike, and a few other travelers we had befriended. I thought it would be a nice way to share our experiences and create new memories together. As the sun set, we gathered outside by the fire pit. The warmth of the flames mixed with the cool evening air, creating a cozy atmosphere. We shared stories, laughter, and delicious food. I watched as Lisa engaged with everyone. She seemed more relaxed, and I felt a sense of pride. At one point, Clara turned to Lisa and complimented her on her openness. She shared her own story of reconciling with her daughter, emphasizing the importance of communication. Clara's words resonated with me, and I hoped they would touch Lisa as well. After a while, the conversation shifted to travel stories. Everyone shared their favorite destinations and memorable experiences. I watched Lisa's face light up as she listened to the stories. I could see her becoming more inspired and excited about our journey. Then, something unexpected happened. Clara turned to me and asked if I had any plans to showcase my photography. I felt a rush of nerves. I had thought about it, but I had not yet acted on it. I shared my idea of organizing a small exhibition when I returned home. I wanted to showcase the photos I had taken during my travels. Lisa listened intently, and I could see her considering my words. Clara encouraged me to pursue it and suggested that I collaborate with other travelers. I felt encouraged by Clara's support. It was a reminder that I was not alone in my passion. As the conversation continued, Lisa turned to me. She looked thoughtful and a bit nervous. She finally spoke up and admitted that she had been feeling lost since her wedding. She said she missed having me as a guide and confidant. I felt a wave of warmth wash over me. I assured her that I was still here for her. I wanted to support her and be a part of her journey. I reminded her that it was okay to feel uncertain. We all go through changes, and it was normal to seek guidance from those we love. As the fire crackled, Lisa began to share her own travel stories. She spoke about trips she had taken with her friends and how much she enjoyed those experiences. I listened, eager to hear her thoughts. I wanted to encourage her to embrace her love for travel, just as I had. After a while, Clara suggested we take some group photos to capture the moment. I quickly grabbed my camera and joined everyone around the fire. I felt a sense of camaraderie as we posed together, laughing and smiling. I captured each moment, knowing that these memories would be cherished. Once the photos were taken, I felt a surge of creativity. I wanted to share my passion with Lisa and encourage her to explore her own creative side. I suggested that we find a local photography class or workshop during our trip. I wanted her to feel inspired and empowered. Lisa's eyes lit up at the idea. She agreed that it would be a fun experience, and I could see her excitement growing. We made plans to look for classes over the next few days. I felt a sense of hope that we were moving in the right direction. As the evening came to a close, we all gathered for one last toast. I raised my glass and expressed my gratitude for the friendships we had formed. I wanted to celebrate the connections we had made during this trip. I looked at Lisa and felt a warmth in my heart. After everyone left, Lisa and I sat by the fire, the embers glowing softly. I turned to her and asked how she felt about the evening. She smiled and said it had been one of the best nights she could remember. I felt a rush of happiness at her words. I took a deep breath and decided to be open with her. I told her how much I appreciated her willingness to share her feelings. I wanted her to know that I was proud of her for being vulnerable. I hoped this would encourage her to continue opening up. As we talked, I shared my own fears and struggles. I explained how I had felt lost after my last conversation with her. I wanted her to know that we were both on this journey together. I hoped this would strengthen our bond. Lisa listened carefully, and I could see her processing my words. She thanked me for being honest. I felt the walls between us continue to crumble. It was clear that we were both learning to communicate better. After a while, we decided to head to bed. I felt a sense of peace as I lay in my hotel room. I knew that while we still had work to do, we were making progress. I felt hopeful about our relationship and excited for the adventures that lay ahead. In the days that followed, Lisa and I explored the area and took plenty of photos. We attended a photography workshop together, and I could see her confidence growing. She was starting to embrace her creativity. I felt proud to see her coming into her own. Each day brought us closer together, and I knew we were on the right path. I wanted to hold on to this feeling of connection and continue to nurture our relationship. I was excited to see where our journey would take us next. We were learning, growing, and healing together, and I couldn't ask for anything more. As our trip continued, I could feel the bond between Lisa and me growing stronger. Each day brought new experiences, and I watched her blossom as she embraced her creativity. We explored beautiful places, took photographs, and shared our thoughts openly. I felt grateful for this time together. One afternoon, while sitting on a beach, I turned to Lisa. I wanted to talk about our relationship and everything we had been through. I took a deep breath and shared my feelings. I told her how much it meant to me to see her happy and open. I wanted her to know that I was proud of her. Lisa smiled and thanked me. She admitted that she had been feeling more like herself lately. She shared how our trip had helped her gain confidence. I could see the light in her eyes, and it filled me with joy. But then, as we talked, I saw a flicker of hesitation on her face. I asked her what was on her mind. She paused for a moment before speaking. She told me that she felt guilty about how we had drifted apart. She wished she had been more open with me earlier. I listened carefully. I reassured her that it was okay. I told her that we all make mistakes and that it was part of being human. I wanted her to know that I understood her struggles. I reminded her that we were both learning and growing together. As our conversation deepened, Lisa opened up about her feelings of inadequacy. She shared how she often felt pressure to succeed and live up to expectations. I could see the weight of those feelings on her shoulders. I wanted to support her, so I encouraged her to express her thoughts without fear. I shared my own fears and insecurities. I told her about the times I had felt lost and unsure of my path. I wanted her to know that it was normal to feel this way. We were on this journey together, and it was okay to lean on each other for support. As we sat on the beach, I felt a sense of peace. The waves crashed gently, and the sun began to set, casting a warm glow around us. I told Lisa that I believed in her and her ability to overcome challenges. I wanted her to know that she was not alone. After our heart-to-heart, I suggested we take a trip down memory lane. I wanted to reminisce about our past travels and the moments that had brought us closer. I hoped it would help us reconnect with the love we had for each other. We spent the evening looking through old photo albums. I pulled out pictures from our family vacations. I shared stories behind each photo, recalling the laughter and joy we had experienced. Lisa listened intently, and I could see her smile grow as we reminisced. As we flipped through the pages, I noticed Lisa becoming emotional. I asked her if she was okay. She nodded, but admitted that she missed those times. She missed feeling close to me. My heart ached for her. I wanted to comfort her and let her know that we could create new memories together. I reached out and held her hand. I told her that we could still have those moments again. We could travel and explore, just like we used to. I expressed my hope that we could build new traditions together, ones that celebrated our relationship. Lisa looked at me with tears in her eyes. She said she wanted that too. She wanted to be closer to me and to create new memories. I felt a rush of happiness at her words. I knew we were moving in the right direction. The next day, we decided to plan a trip together for the future. We discussed destinations we both wanted to visit. Lisa suggested a few places, and I added my ideas as well. It felt good to dream together again. As we planned, I noticed Lisa becoming more animated. She was excited to think about our future adventures. I wanted to encourage her creativity, so I suggested we document our travels through photography and journaling. I thought it would be a great way to capture our experiences. Lisa loved the idea. We made a pact to support each other in our creative endeavors, no matter what. I felt a sense of unity as we committed to this journey together. I knew we would face challenges, but I also believed in our ability to overcome them. As the days passed, we continued to explore and create together. We took more photographs, and Lisa grew more confident in her skills. I felt proud to see her embracing her passion. I wanted her to know that I was there to support her every step of the way. One evening, as we sat on our hotel balcony, I turned to Lisa and asked her if she had thought more about our conversation. I wanted to know how she felt about our relationship moving forward. She took a deep breath and smiled. She told me that she felt hopeful. She expressed gratitude for our time together and the chance to reconnect. She said she wanted to work on being more open and honest with me. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I wanted to do the same. We agreed that communication would be key in rebuilding our relationship. I wanted to create a safe space for her to share her thoughts and feelings. I wanted her to know that I was always there to listen. As our trip came to an end, I felt a sense of accomplishment. We had made significant progress in rebuilding our bond. I was excited about our future adventures and the memories we would create together. When we returned home, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I was determined to keep the lines of communication open. I wanted to continue nurturing our relationship and supporting each other's dreams. I knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter. Together, Lisa and I were learning to embrace our journey, and I couldn't wait to see where it would lead us next. With hope in my heart, I looked forward to the adventures ahead, knowing that we would face them together. After returning home from our trip, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Lisa and I had grown closer, and I was eager to keep that momentum going. We had promised each other to continue being open and supportive. I wanted to create more memories together and nurture our relationship. We began planning our next adventure, and it felt exciting. We discussed several destinations, but one place stood out, a national park known for its breathtaking landscapes and hiking trails. We both loved nature, and the idea of exploring a new place together sparked our enthusiasm. As we prepared for the trip, I could see Lisa's excitement growing. We made a packing list and decided to bring our cameras to document our journey. I wanted this trip to be a chance for her to express herself creatively, just like we had done before. On the day of our departure, I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. We loaded up the car with our bags, snacks, and, of course, our cameras. As we hit the road, I turned on some music, and we sang along, laughing and enjoying the moment. It felt good to be together. When we arrived at the national park, I was in awe of the beauty around us. The towering trees, clear blue sky, and fresh air filled me with joy. We took a moment to breathe it all in. I could see Lisa's eyes sparkling with excitement. We started our adventures with a hike on one of the trails. As we walked, we talked about our hopes for the trip. Lisa shared her desire to capture the beauty of nature through her photography. I encouraged her to take as many pictures as she wanted. I wanted her to feel free to explore her creativity. As we hiked, we came across stunning views. Every turn revealed something new and beautiful. Lisa took photos of the scenery, and I could see her confidence growing with each click of the shutter. I felt proud of her. It was wonderful to see her embracing her passion. At one point, we reached a lookout point with a breathtaking view of the valley below. We paused to take it all in. I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I looked at Lisa, who was busy capturing the moment on her camera. I couldn't help but smile. This was what I had hoped for, a chance to bond and create lasting memories. After a while, we decided to sit down for a break. We unpacked our snacks and enjoyed the view. As we sat there, I turned to Lisa and asked how she was feeling about the trip so far. She smiled and said it was perfect. She thanked me for encouraging her to take photos. I felt a rush of happiness at her words. We talked more about our hopes for the future. Lisa expressed her desire to continue pursuing photography and exploring new places. I encouraged her to take classes if she wanted. I wanted her to follow her passion, and I would support her every step of the way. As the sun began to set, we captured photos of the changing colors in the sky. The beauty was breathtaking. I felt grateful for this moment with my daughter. It reminded me of how far we had come. We had faced challenges, but now we were stronger together. The next day, we decided to explore another part of the park. We hiked through lush forests, crossed streams, and discovered hidden waterfalls. Each moment felt magical. I enjoyed watching Lisa immerse herself in the beauty around her. She was eager to capture everything, and I encouraged her to do so. During our hikes, we met other travelers. We shared stories about our adventures and learned about their experiences. It felt good to connect with others who shared our love for travel and nature. I could see Lisa enjoying these interactions, and it warmed my heart. As we continued our journey, I noticed something wonderful. Lisa was not only growing as a photographer, but she was also becoming more confident in herself. She was stepping out of her comfort zone and embracing new experiences. I felt proud of her growth. On our last evening in the park, we found a quiet spot to watch the sunset. The sky was painted with vibrant hues of orange and pink. We sat in silence, taking it all in. I turned to Lisa and told her how proud I was of her progress. I wanted her to know how much she had inspired me. She smiled and thanked me for the support. She admitted that this trip had helped her find herself again. I felt a wave of warmth as I realized we were not just mother and daughter, but also friends. We were learning from each other and growing together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I suggested we take one last photo together. We set up the camera on a nearby rock and posed with the beautiful sunset behind us. As I pressed the button, I felt a sense of joy. This photo would be a reminder of our incredible journey. When we returned home, I knew we had created lasting memories. We had both grown during this trip, and I was excited about the future. I wanted to continue nurturing our relationship and supporting each other's dreams. As I looked through the photos we had taken, I felt a sense of accomplishment. Each picture told a story of our adventure and the bond we had strengthened. I decided to create a photo album to showcase our journey together. It would be a way to celebrate our growth and the memories we had made. In the weeks that followed, Lisa and I continued to communicate openly. We shared our thoughts, dreams, and fears. I encouraged her to pursue her passion for photography, and she began exploring options for classes. I was excited to see her take this step. I knew that our journey was far from over, but I felt confident in our ability to face whatever challenges lay ahead. We had both learned the value of connection and support. Together, we were building a new foundation for our relationship. As I reflected on our adventures, I felt grateful for the growth we had experienced. I knew that we would continue to create beautiful memories together. I looked forward to the many adventures that awaited us. More than anything, I was excited to see how our relationship would continue to evolve. With each step we took together, I felt the strength of our bond growing deeper. As time went on, I felt a sense of peace in my relationship with Lisa. Our trip to the national park had brought us closer together, and I was grateful for the journey we had taken. We had faced challenges, but we had also celebrated our growth. I felt hopeful for our future. After returning home, I kept working on the photo album we had created during our adventures. Each picture told a story, and I wanted to capture the essence of our journey. I took my time, adding notes and memories to each page. It became a beautiful collection of our experiences together. One afternoon, I invited Lisa over to surprise her with the finished album. I wanted her to see how far we had come and how proud I was of her. When she arrived, I could see the curiosity in her eyes. I handed her the album and watched as she opened it. Her face lit up with joy as she flipped through the pages. She smiled at the pictures of us hiking, laughing, and enjoying nature. I felt a warmth in my heart as I saw her reaction. It was a reminder of the special bond we had formed. As she looked through the album, Lisa began to share her thoughts. She talked about how much the trip meant to her and how it had helped her find her passion for photography. Listening to her made me feel proud. I wanted her to keep pursuing her dreams. After she finished looking through the album, Lisa closed it gently and turned to me. She thanked me for being supportive and encouraging her to embrace her creativity. She said she felt more confident than ever. I smiled and told her that I believed in her. I would always be there to support her. We spent the afternoon talking about our plans for the future. Lisa expressed her desire to take photography classes and even thought about starting a blog to share her work. I felt a rush of excitement at her ideas. I encouraged her to pursue them and offered to help however I could. As we talked, I felt a deep sense of connection. We were not only mother and daughter, we were friends who could share our dreams and support each other. I wanted to continue nurturing this relationship and create more memories together. One evening, I suggested we plan another trip. I wanted to explore new places together and keep the spirit of adventure alive. Lisa's eyes lit up at the idea. We discussed destinations and agreed to visit a coastal town known for its stunning beaches and charming atmosphere. We set a date for our trip and began planning the details. I felt a sense of excitement as we worked together to create an itinerary. We talked about the activities we wanted to do, including visiting local art galleries and taking sunrise photos by the beach. As the days passed, I felt a shift in our relationship. We were communicating more openly, sharing our fears, dreams, and daily experiences. Lisa was becoming more confident in her photography, and I was proud to see her passion grow. The day of our coastal trip arrived, and I felt a mix of excitement and anticipation. We packed our bags, loaded the car, and hit the road once more. The drive was filled with laughter and music, just like our previous trip. I felt grateful for this time together. When we arrived at the coastal town, I was in awe of the beauty around us. The ocean stretched out before us, sparkling in the sunlight. We quickly checked into our hotel and headed straight to the beach. The sound of the waves filled the air, and I felt a sense of calm wash over me. We spent our days exploring the town, visiting local shops, and capturing the beauty around us with our cameras. I could see Lisa thriving in this environment. She was excited to take photos of the colorful buildings and the vibrant sunsets. One evening, as we walked along the beach, I turned to Lisa and asked her how she felt about our journey together. She smiled and said it had been life-changing. She expressed how grateful she was for our trips and the time we had spent together. I felt tears of joy welling in my eyes. I told her how much I appreciated her openness and willingness to connect. It was clear that our relationship had evolved, and I felt proud of the progress we had made. As we continued to walk along the shore, I suggested we take some photos together. We set up the camera and posed against the backdrop of the sunset. As I pressed the button, I felt a wave of happiness. This moment would be a reminder of our journey and the bond we had formed. When we returned home from the trip, I knew we had created lasting memories. We had shared laughter, adventure, and growth. I felt grateful for the connection we had built and the love we had for each other. In the weeks that followed, I encouraged Lisa to continue pursuing her photography. She began taking classes and sharing her work online. I felt proud of her dedication and passion. I knew she was on the path to discovering herself. As I reflected on our journey, I realized that my relationship with Lisa had changed for the better. We had learned to communicate openly, support each other, and embrace our passions. I felt hopeful about the future and the adventures that awaited us. Together, we were building a new foundation for our relationship. I looked forward to the many memories we would create and the journeys we would embark on. With each step we took together, I felt the strength of our bond growing deeper, and I knew we would face whatever life brought us with love and understanding.